let's get it done. Clicks and reviews, we're number one. Reputation's key, we'll show you how. AI's the future, the time is now.
Welcome to Google for Real Estate. I'm Derek Bixler, real estate agent, outdoor adventure sportsman, volunteer firefighter, and local SEO and reputation management geek. Let's get into it. A few pieces of news, and then 4 pieces of news I got here, and then I will go into a little bit of a kind of a 2025 recap. I've got 4 things, 4 subjects under that here to go over that I think are kind of the biggest takeaways from 2025 and what to take into 2026 and do in 2026, all of which you've probably heard me say before, but I'll go over that and get into that. But before we do that, I'll get into these. Well, I guess I should pause for anybody that is here live on Clubhouse. Does anybody have any wins or questions or issues with Google Business Profile, local services ads, or otherwise? Speak now or don't speak. All right. Q&A section change on the GBP. They've been talking about the Q&A section, which is literally when you go to your dashboard, that tab there that says Q&A. It's meant for consumers to come along, ask you a question, ask the business a question, and then you answer it back, and then you've got kind of a FAQ bank sitting there on your profile. Nobody ever, at least in real estate, very, very rarely that people do that consumers do that. And in other businesses, not very much either. So kind of the best practice has always been to use it as an FAQ bank yourself. In previous times, you were able to, as the admin, when you clicked on it, you could click ask a question. So you as the admin could ask a question, and then you could answer your own question, and then you fill it up with a bunch of those. Not that filling it up with a bunch of SEO keywords or something that way before helped you as far as keyword stuffing or showing up for things. It's more of just a bell and a whistle on your profile. So I never really spent that much time on it anyway to begin with. But now that ask a question button when you're logged in as the admin is gone, so you can't do that anymore, which makes sense. Why would they let us do that? If there was going to be an FAQ, make an FAQ somewhere or whatever. So you can't do that. And since they've been talking about it going away completely for a while, I'm hoping that it just does go away. And this is a step towards it going away. On mobile, when I click on the tab, it doesn't even show me anything. On desktop, it does. And in the Google Maps app, when I go to my dashboard there, it also is still there and does show me the questions. And I've done multiple profiles, multiple places, and it seems to, like, the tab is still there. The questions and answers from before are still there, but you don't have the ability to ask a question anymore. I did not check. I should do that. As a consumer I was checking on all profiles that I was admin of, if I checked to see if a consumer can even ask a question still. I would guess so, since it's still there, but I would be fine with that going away completely, because kind of a waste of time. Nobody uses it. I don't think customers use it. With AI now, you really don't. They've got all kinds of ask AI about this business and whatnot on there. So I really don't think you want that. Plus, if they have a question and they feel compelled enough to ask a question there like that, click it, ask a question, wait for the response. If that wasn't there, they would probably be willing to call me or email me or text me or message me or whatever, or just reach out instead of asking a question there, reach out to ask the question. So I say get rid of it, fine with it being gone. Doesn't mean I don't like FAQs. I like FAQs. FAQs are great for SEO and conversion and all kinds of things. But on the Google Business Profile, not so much. On the website, different story. So that's the Q&A section update on the Google Business Profile. Been a while since we had a major kind of change to the dashboard of the Google Business Profile. So that's kind of big. Link building prompts. I'm going to share this. It's a document with link building prompts. So link building is when you as a local, well, could be a national business, but we're local. So as a local business, go and try to get other local businesses around to put your website on their website. And typically the way that happens is it's either a news station or something that's news, you're involved in it or you wrote it and then they put your stuff on it. Or if you can guest blog on other people's sites. So the prompts I'm going to give you is a guest blogging and backlinking prompts. It's not rocket science. You could come up with your own or simplify it or change it or whatever. But essentially, you want to find other local businesses that may or may not be related. And the prompts I'm giving you, Gemini will go out and find all the ones that make sense. But any lender, that would be a good one. That's real estate related. Plus, it is local. If you want to focus on people that you know might have a better, I mean, you could check the rankings of people's websites, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. Just kind of who do I know kind of pays attention to that stuff and cares about it, and ask those people, inspectors, even insurance companies, attorneys. I think when I ran it, and it gives prompts to like reach out to the people, draft an email to ask them, write the article for both them and me. So the reach out would be like, hey, lender friend, attorney friend, whatever, with a website. My proposal is that we write a guest blog on each other's websites, and the blog itself, those words and the page, hopefully it's a good topic, are good SEO for the person getting the blog too. So you have a guest, it's just a blog on your website written by them, a blog on their website written by you, and then obviously you want your name, your website link, your information, all that stuff on their website. And that is the backlink. And then you build up a lot of backlinks, and then Google looks around and says, man, this website, this business is all over these other websites. Everybody's calling them out and mentioning them and things. And that helps build your authority with Google. And then once you build authority, especially topical authority or local authority kind of focused in one direction or kind of a general direction, then your website can start ranking better. Your Google Biz can help your Google business profile, help with AI, all the things. So this is not a new thing. Backlinking or guest blogging or building backlinks, link building, whatever you want to call it, is not a new thing for SEO, but I haven't really talked about it a lot in here. And I just built this kind of prompt steps here. I'll just go through it quickly. There's a bunch of prompts, but there's a first prompt that's going to get you a list of local business types. So you drop it into Gemini and it's going to give you all the types that you might want to reach out to. It's going to get you contact information. A lot of times you can get the address, the email, it'll source. If not, it'll give you like the contacts page for the website. Like it'll do a lot of the stuff for you. Write the article. You can have it write it for you and them. Then when you reach out, you could even be like, I could write it for you. Or here's an article already from you to mine and mine to you. Everything's done. All you'd have to do is agree to put it on your site and publish it and make sure my website is mentioned. Pull contact info for the businesses, write emails to send to the contacts, write a phone script to use to call the contacts, whether you need all that stuff. And it's pretty easy for anybody really to do this and prompt anything. But if you wanted, I guess I'll put it in here and then I'll share it somewhere else too. But I'll put this in the chat, which is something 2026. When I talk about what to do in 2026, it's definitely something I'm focusing more on. And I think a lot of other people are, and something that I think we should focus on is SEO and blogging, for lack of a better term, but it's much more than that. And if I can find Clubhouse, there's the template in there of prompts if anybody wants that. And some of these should be pretty easy. The lenders you work with all the time, the title agency you work with all the time. It's even these prompts are going to give you topics too. So you're like, I don't know what I'm going to write about. It's going to give you the industry type. here are the people near you, here's the contact information, and here's what you should write about, or a couple of options of what you should write about. So it does do, and then it'll write it also for you. And I wrote this whole thing before I just got access to something else that I'm going to talk about in a second. Up until today, it was like a wait list, or I don't know. I forget. I wasn't able to get into it, but I was just now. So I'm going to talk about that, and it might negate this whole thing. Well, no, because people just using regular Gemini and stuff would need all these prompts. But the other thing will build kind of an app to do it all for you. So that is guest blogging and backlinking prompts. If you want those, and obviously, I just explained essentially what that is. So that's the benefit of doing it. It's going to help you with your SEO and your ranking, not just doing stuff on your own website, but being seen on other people's websites. And for us, local websites is great. Also, press releases. If you have a commercial deal here, press releases, they'll publish almost every single one. They might cut out a lot of what you say, but at least your name, your brokerage, a lot of times you can get the website in there. They also know you like to have that website link in there. But press releases for commercial deals, almost all the papers or major publications will publish those, and they need stuff. And it might even be as short as, and most of them are as short as, ABC Supply leased 80,000 square feet of industrial space at 123 Main Street in Carlisle from Prologis. The deal will run maybe a sentence or two about the deal and maybe a quote or something. But a lot of times it's just, these people leased this much from these people at this address. Blank represented the lessee and blank represented the lessor in the transaction. And hopefully when it says blank, it says Derek Bixler, realtor, Coldwell Banker, agentderek.com or whatever, as much as you can get in there. But even just being mentioned on other people's websites too, especially when they're like those kinds of sites, those big authority, tons of authority locally, those big publications, news outlets that you can get mentions on, that can be good too, even if there's not a link on it. So backlinking, all that stuff, got that in there if you want to start doing that. Any questions on any of that? Backlinking, guest blogging? All right, next thing I got here is I finally got Notebook LM in my Gemini. So I've been talking about it for a while, probably old news by now. In Gemini, you can now, in a chat, when you select kind of resources or whatever you want to pull into the conversation, you can select a notebook, and I think it allows you to select multiple. Was I seeing that correctly? Yeah, it allows me to, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can call in all kinds of notebooks. So your notebooks are kind of like could be an expert. You could use it as a trained expert that is very focused and only using the information that you're giving it or that it researched and you said, okay, use that stuff that you researched. Or it could be like ones that really aren't reusable experts. They are, every week I go in there, say, pull all the stuff that happened in Carlisle last week, this date to this date, write a blog post, do all my blog writing, blah, blah, blah in there. After that blog post is written, that notebook is pretty much trash. I'm probably not going to ever use it again. I'm not deleting them right now, but because maybe I figure out maybe there's a use for them. But so you're probably not going to call in notebooks like that into Gemini. But if you made an appraisal expert notebook, you could pull that person in. Or if you had, and this is new too, a few days ago when I tried to do a chat in one of my gems, it did not give me the Notebook LM option, but now it is. So you can do a chat also within a gem, which is already kind of an expert at whatever you trained it on, and then pull in another side expert to train it on. So maybe you have like a gem that's just a general appraisal expert. It's an appraiser. And mine even declines appraisals. I asked it one and it was like, nah, that's not in the area that we specialize in. I'm not doing it. I was like, oh, and I was gonna argue back and say, well, just do it this time because I'm saying to do it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna let it be, let it do its thing, and no, that's good. So anyhow, but I am saying you can pull in a notebook. So maybe it's like your regular just appraisal expert all around home appraisal in the United States expert gem, and then you have a notebook that is trained on neighborhoods like or parts of town and all the amenities there and all that kind of stuff. So you go into Notebook LM, say, give me research everything to do. I leave out schools. I really hard line. I will not. Everybody, you can't talk about schools. Stop talking about schools. You can't say it's close to a school because that's saying it's good to be close to a school and it's better for this. And I'm not standing on something, but the rule, you can't tell. Or even, I'm not saying that schools are good. It's the website. And if you want to know school stuff, go look it up. That's my stance on that. And I won't write school stuff for client blogs. And if it's already in something, I will cut it out. But anyway, that's just my own soapbox. So anyway, wouldn't have schools in there, but look up all the stuff about this place, whatever you want to know and include as an expert about a certain place. And then you could have your appraisal expert. I want you to appraise 123 Main Street, and I want to call in my Upper Allen Township neighborhood expert notebook into this so that it can reference it, and because that expert might know the exact little, like, this street is better than this street in Upper Allen, just like agents would. You've got appraisers or whatever, but then that really local, hyper local agent or whoever might have better information, and then together they would be some kind of superpower. So I finally got Notebook LM in here. I haven't implemented it or used it for much yet. And with the next thing I'm going to talk about, again, kind of negates it if go the route of using the other thing I'm about to talk about more, which is a little bit different, but would essentially automate it more and give you like an appified version. But anyway, Notebook LM in there. I finally got it. Try it out if you want to. New gems. So the thing I was talking about just now, and it's actually called Opal. OPAL. I'll put the link. You could Google it, but it's just called opal.google.com. If I could find it. And it might not get you exactly there, but it'll probably redirect you to the homepage to sign in or whatever. But it's called Opal by Google. And it's essentially a workflow builder. You build a workflow and it creates an app, and then ta-da, does stuff for you. So it's an automation tool, and I'm really loving it. Literally like 20 minutes before the room is when I got access to it, or noticed that I could get it. They dropped recently. So the gems, they had the regular gems that were like custom GPTs. You kind of train them and then you go in there and use it for whatever it's trained on. Now, if you were in Gemini and you click on gems, it's going to have this little build AI apps, a new kind of gem from Google Labs. Google Labs is what they call basically all their new stuff that's kind of experimental or just released, and then it moves out of labs, or some stuff just stays in labs forever. But you'll see that little thing at the top, usually, is at least on desktop, about using labs. You click it. There's a bunch of templates that you can use: Recipe Genie, Marketing Maven, Claymation Explainer, blog post writer. So there's one you could even use right out of the box right there. Business Profile, a glimpse into how the internet sees your business. City Builder, Google Calendar link, Fashion Stylist, Create Playlist, Product Marketing, Video Marketer, Social Media Post, yada, yada. So there are all kinds of templates in there, but then also you can start from scratch. And when you go in to build one of these things, this is where what you need to know. You want to definitely go to Open Advanced Editor. So when you open it, it will give you when you make a new one, it'll give you kind of a preview window, and then on the side, it'll give you a chat window where you can tell it, hey, I want you to ask the person to upload a video, or you don't need any user input. You just every day go do this thing or whatever. So you can do it there, but you really want to go up and click on that Open Advanced Editor. And when you click that, that brings you over to Opal. So really, the new gem is on Opal. If you're building a gem, you probably just want to switch right over to Opal and start building it there. Unless you want a traditional gem over in your Gemini, then obviously you could build gems there. But over here, it really is like a layout. So you've got a blank canvas with, on the side, it's got kind of a preview of the app, or you can preview all your steps, blah, 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 change your theme and stuff. And for the theme, I just said, make it red, white, and blue, and blang, blang, blang. It made it red, white, and blue. It kind of creates its own image for the top. I'm guessing if you prompted it for some kind of image you wanted to be there, you could customize it a little bit more. They all seem to be they all kind of look the same. There's not a ton of customization as far as the design, but keeping it simple, and as long as it does what it needs to do, I think that's fine. So there's a little bit of a theme. You can change the color, that kind of thing. But then the main bulk of the space is made up by a drag and drop thing. So there's a user input. So you could have a first step. So you drag and drop a step and you say, okay, this step goes over to this step, and this step goes to this step. And then finally you get to an output. So user inputs, you just tell it. Yeah, there's no options for user inputs. It's just, hey, what do you want the user to put in here? So it wants them to type something for that. Under generate, you can use Gemini 2.5, 2.5 Pro, 3 Pro, which is the newest. Plan and execute with Gemini. Deep research with Gemini, which is what you would use if you're writing blog posts with this thing. So if I was making which I'm going to do for sure, I'm going to recreate, because this can do images too, which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to recreate the whole blog post flow that I talked about a few weeks ago or whatever. I'm going to recreate the whole thing in here and see how that does. So it does not say notebook LM. You can't pull in a notebook that you've created. Not that I'm seeing anyway. I clicked on it and no, it's not letting me do that. But it's a deep research tool. We'll see how it does that would be the thing that I would use to pull in all what happened last week in Carlisle or whatever you're trying to research. So that would take the place of notebook LM for that. You can create images. So it would be, hey, do the research on what to write about. And then that gets thrown over to create images. And then in the images, I want you to create a 16 by 9 or whatever you want it to be, image for each section of the blog post. Make sure it's I do mine in my news site in comic book, graphic novel style, bold, dynamic colors, vibrant, blah, 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 whatever you want it to be. Then those images could get kicked over, and then you can output them. And you can also do other things in there, Nano Banana. So there's a few different image generation ones. And the one I love that's in there, because this is always an extra step for me, is the audio LM. So generating speech. So every time I make a blog post, I like to have that audio version at the top, because I love that when I go to an article and it's like, click this to listen. I'm like, damn right, I'm clicking that. I always write the article, and then once it's written and perfected, I copy it and paste it. I have to go separately into Google AI Studio, text to speech, change my settings, make it how I like it, paste it in there, generate it. It may or may not get it right. The longer it is, I will tell you this, if you generate text in AI Studio, the longer it is, the more it will get it wrong, or it will truncate it, or it'll cut something off. So I always have to listen to them first. And usually it's at the beginning or the end where it will mess it up. The one time it said the first paragraph twice. So you definitely have to check it a little bit. And again, the longer it is, the more it will mess up. If it's like a 10-minute read, that's going to be, which is kind of a longer blog post, then there's more chance of it messing up. I like the inflection on 1, the temperament or temperature, I think they call it. You can go up to 2, 0 to 2 by halves, I think. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, something like that. All the way up is too much. At first I was like, yeah, I want it dynamic and like engaging, but she would actually be out of breath by the end of, like, it's an actual person. It was weird. Like the last line would be like out of breath and kind of like at the end. So I tapered it back, and it was just too much sometimes. So I tapered it back. So I suggest number 1, bunch of voices in there. Long way of saying it was an extra step, kind of a pain in the ass to make that audio part of it. So we will see how this does. And they're calling it Audio LM. I don't know what they call it in AI Studio, but probably the same thing doing it. So then after it's written, I got my images, then it's going to plop it over, drop the article into Audio LM, give me my audio version, which I also then use. I put that at the top of the blog article, but then I also have a podcast, Awesome Carlisle Podcast. And then those audio, just literally the audio reading, the AI reading of it gets put there as a podcast episode. And I am going to have non-AI stuff incorporated in this whole project, as I mentioned before, but I'm just trying to like add things slowly, get certain things down, and then I'm going to start doing more and more manual or human stuff, because I think that's important too. And when it writes, like, you can have it and it knows me. It knows I'm a firefighter. It knows that I live here. It knows I'm a homeowner. It knows that I'm a local business owner and a realtor. And the more and more it knows me, the more and more it will learn about me. So the writing isn't always writing by AI is not always just blanket garbage or not specific to the person or without a style. It can be. It's when you don't tell it anything, it becomes just AI slop, as they say. So generate, images in here, the audio part, which I'm loving, bunch of different models, deep research, plan and execute. I'm sure there's some great uses for that. Output. So this is what you would want to do with all the stuff at the end of it. So manual output, content is displayed exactly as typed. So it would probably just give you the text or whatever it's giving you right here. You copy and paste it and do what you want with it. A web page with auto layout. I love that. So if you did, oh man, that would be a home valuation. Again, I keep going back to that, but some kind of a presentation of some sort. And then it does all the research. It does all the stuff. If you want it to, the user input part, you could say, hey, I want you to use these specific properties to do this with. I don't want it to go out, or let it figure that out. The comps part, a lot of the times, is the part that I want the most control over. So anyway, you could build that, and then it could turn it into a website for you that these days looks pretty darn good. And then you can probably tweak the website if you want to. I haven't done it yet, but so web page with auto layout automatically generated by Gemini. I guess I'll try that at some point and see what it looks like. But great if it's a linkable thing I can send to somebody that looks pretty, or even if you're on your iPad there and there's this awesome looking thing you can pull up, that would be great. Would be really awesome if it can put photos in there, because when you vibe code, quote unquote, vibe or code, build stuff via just telling AI what to do, like in AI Studio or something. When you do that and build a web page, if you want a photo included, you can't upload a photo and say, put this photo on there. You have to link the photo. So the photo has to be hosted somewhere else and linked to it to be able to pull it up, blah, blah, blah. A long way of saying, I wonder if it can display images. That would be awesome. And put images of the house in there and all that stuff. Save to Google Docs. So whatever output you're getting from it, you can have it, save it over to a Google document, which would be great for blog writing. Be awesome. Well, you could probably zap it or something over to your website, possibly, if you have all the outputs dropping into a Google Drive or however Zapier needs to do it. It can put it in a doc. It can put it into Google Slides. It can put it into Google Sheets. Obviously, you would have the images given to you as well. So if you could zap those over and then actually write the article, draft the whole article on the web page, and then not publish it, though, I'd want to look at it. And there would be some tweaking to perfect it for sure. But and even if it couldn't do the website part, if a lot of it, this would still, the way it looks like I could automate a lot of the parts that I do. And there are sub parts, like first I generate the blog article, and then after I do that, then I give me all the tags separated by commas, blah, blah, blah. And that gives me an output to put my blog tags, give me all the sources. I want them in hyperlinks only, block, plain text format, separated by commas with the word source : at the beginning or whatever. You don't necessarily have to be that specific, but after a while, your prompts will be great so that every time you're hopefully getting what you want. Until they change the model, I noticed sometimes like what was perfect 2 weeks ago and gave me exactly what I want, now the same prompts give me slightly different things. And you will notice that infographics built in Notebook LM are not the same as if you go to Gemini, Nano, Banana. I prefer the ones within Notebook LM. And it doesn't have to do boring infographics, pie charts and stuff. Those are good too, but it can also, like, it does full pictures and images and do whatever you want it to do in there as well, pretty much like Nano Banana. But I like the output a little bit better for what I'm doing. Anyhow, so the outputs you can do a bunch of ways. Add assets. You can upload a file, My Drive, so you could give it access to, let's see, where'd that go? My Drive. Huh. That's not popping up. Maybe I'm not allowed to use that. YouTube video. There's something else I clicked on, didn't take me anywhere either. I forget what it was. So Drive, theoretically, you could attach a Google Drive and it could pull stuff from a Google Drive if you needed it to. So there are also automations that like maybe drop a certain thing into a Google Drive and then, or a document that is in a Google Drive. So this every Tuesday is going to go and look in that document in the Google Drive, pull off the new name that wasn't there before and go and add it to this thing, or write an email to them, or I don't know what it would do, but a Google Drive with creativity could be a lot of things. If nothing else, could be like, here's the comps folder for all the real estate comps I want you to use for this or whatever. Or you could just upload them, obviously, which is probably what I would do. Putting it into a drive is just an extra step. If I'm pulling the comps, download PDFs of it, upload here, do the thing. Obviously, I'm looking at it harder, doing my own analysis manually like I always have on the side until they match up really, really well. And then at what point does it become just a waste of time to try to fight the AI that at some point is going to be smarter than me for sure? I certainly haven't read all the USPAP documents and memorized them and know them backwards and forwards, not even close. So, yeah. And if you tell it, like, it will take liberties with bedrooms. And so some people also have certain ways they like to run their comps, because you can use not the same exact number of bedrooms if you want, if everything else, blah, blah, blah. But I like to not, because I know people search by bedrooms. And if it's going to affect, like, I like to keep bedrooms the same and then adjust on size rather than vice versa or whatever. Anyhow, Drive, you can add, upload files. YouTube video you can put in there. So let's see what it gives you. YouTube video, you have to put the URL in there right now. So it's not like, maybe you could with AI, which is just a prompt. You say, hey, pull the video of just pull the most current borough meeting, and then it pulls in the link and sends it over to the YouTube asset, and then it can use the YouTube asset just like in Notebook LM. Like, I drop the YouTube video of the borough meeting in there, and then I say, write a blog article summarizing the main points, make sure you structure it this way, blah, blah, blah. Give me the tags, give me the things, give me prompts to make the images, blah, blah, blah. So really all possibly be done in here. If nothing else, you can just definitely drop a URL there. It does look like, actually, I want to see if you can do multiple. It only has one line there, but maybe if you put one, it allows you to put more, and that's going to be interesting for sure if you can put multiple, because then you could build an expert. I could go to my podcast, this podcast, drop every single video in there. If I knew how to share videos on YouTube, that would help. And I could share every single video on YouTube. Apply. The apply button doesn't do anything. See if I click off it and go back. Apply. Doesn't do anything. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Invalid. It's not invalid. I just got it from YouTube. So some kinks there, probably, maybe. But anyhow, I should be able to, and I'm sure they'll figure that stuff out, or maybe I'm doing it wrong. And then I think that's the end of the assets. And I think I've gone over the limit, possibly, of how many things you can add, because it's not allowing me to add any more assets. Oh, no, now it is. Drawing and text. So text would just be inputting something, text that you would maybe a blog article. A good use for the text would be if it's writing blog articles, but like I want my blog, every blog article I write, I want it to have a direct quote from me or someone else or whoever, to make it more personal or whatever. Quotes are good. Also press releases, they like quotes. Actual news outlets like quotes. I'm sure Google and all those things like quotes, and quotes a lot of times are the part that won't be found anywhere else. It's going to be completely original content, which is also good. So you could use that text feature to say, okay, text, and then, or it could be a user input, I guess, as well. But if the text was the same, I suppose every time, either way, you could say, hey, make sure in the article you include this exact quote from me, place it wherever you think it makes sense or whatever. And then drawing, you can actually draw a picture. And it's basically just like select your pencil, draw a thing. You could pick. No, there aren't any other colors. Oh yeah, you can change the color, draw a picture, whatever. I don't know. Can't think right now of any reason you would do that, but I'm sure there's a way of using a drawing for something. If you wanted something to be laid out a certain way, maybe you put a grid or draw some kind of grid and say, make sure the image you output is gridded this way or something. But you can add drawings. So you can do user input. You can generate things with multiple different Google AIs. You can output it different ways, and you can add assets. And then it literally is just like a drag and drop. This little box goes over to this little box, goes over to this little box, goes to this thing. Multiple things could go to multiple things. So you just build your flow, and then you can preview it right there. There's just a button right there to click preview, start, and then you can do it. Mine's not going to do anything because none of these things are connected. I just opened a bunch of blocks on my screen. It's probably going to tell me, I don't know what it's going to tell me. Can't compute is what it should tell me. And then the other cool thing here is that you can share it. So if you built something, and maybe you built something, here it did build it. Cosmic Aura, unveiling designs from beyond the stars, experiencing a new dimension of digital elegance. Explore our universe. I don't know what part of what I did, because I really put nothing in there. I don't know what part it gets that from, but it definitely tries to give you some catchy stuff and cool design and kind of titling and whatnot. But anyway, the share app, you can click share app. And then when you click share app, it literally just gives you a link that you can give to anybody. So if you if you built something that was client facing or that you wanted to share, you can just click it, gives you a link right there, and really nothing else that you can do. And you can click on some of those, like the blog post writer was one that you could probably try right out of the box, see how it does. I'm sure it's not going to meet my anal standards, and I'd probably have to add at least my audio part to it. However, it's good to like click on it. Kind of gives you an idea of the steps and how the flows go and how you would build it. But it's pretty much you just click it, add this thing, put it here in the steps, write what you want it to do. It's an AI, so you just type in there what you want it to do, yada yada. So Opal, try that out if you want to start automating some things. It's basically the new gem. If you click on creating a gem, it's a new gem, but the old gems are still there. And then Google on the AI front still has all kinds of things dropping all the time. They've got 8 million models. Like the ones we see aren't even all their AIs. They've got different models trained on all kinds of things, tons of medical stuff, making breakthroughs and protein synthesizing and gene scanning. I don't know, but doing medical stuff, and others do too, are doing medical things. But they are at the forefront of that for sure with DeepMind. I think I saw one where they have one that talks to dolphins or is trying to learn how to talk to dolphins. So dolphin language one, and I would guess that would be awesome if they could make ones for more animals. It'd be pretty sick. So they've always got all kinds of other stuff dropping. Gemma 3, there were other Gemmas, GEMMA, that came out recently. That's too much for most of the listeners here, probably. It's too much for me, so I'm guessing it's too much for everybody else. But it's basically an open-ish source AI that you can download onto a device. So it's meant for medical or super private or business uses or whatever that don't want to use AI, that's being sent out to Google servers or OpenAI servers or whatever. They can download, or I don't know, however you get it, and set it up locally on servers and have your own AI model trained running your own stuff. So that's new. They're always doing stuff with that. So Google's always dropping all kinds of stuff. But these gems and automations, I think that's something that's it's definitely more consumer facing, more something. It's like your Zapier, very similar to kind of Zapier and the flow that you build there. Or if you've used like a funnel builder, it's just drag and drop the steps, tell it how they connect and what each step is, and then watch it work its magic. Over time, probably be able to figure out what it can or cannot do. Like in Gemini and in the AI part, can I say scan my emails today? And I don't know if I saw a timer. That would be the first thing I would be trying is, can I tell it to do something at a certain time or with a certain trigger? Because I want triggers to make things happen. I don't want to always have to come to it. Kind of negates some of the automation if I always have to come to it and say, do this. Still be great if Monday morning I say, run last week's things that happened, and then 20 minutes later I have an output that's mostly usable. Be pretty great. So Gems, Opal, try that out. Along with all the other Gemini stuff that kicks ass. I pretty much don't go to ChatGPT anymore, ever, because Gemini is just great. And even things that maybe it lacks on, like the image generation with chat is slightly different, and some people might like the style or whatever. But even that, like, I'm not going back and forth. I'm just going to learn how I like to make them in Gemini and learn the nuances or whatever. And Geminis are definitely, I will say, more realistic. That's the biggest difference I see. And I don't know what other people see, but, and the same with video too. Gemini seems to be very realistic. What they're going for is like cinematic, realistic. If somebody with their phone or with a camera, whatever you tell it was shot with, it looks like it was actually like a real thing that was done. With Sora and Chat and OpenAI and some of the others too, same with video and image, you can kind of tell a little bit more. It's more some kind of like quality or style to it, kind of. It seems very trained on social media or something. I don't know, but that's the big distinction for me. And I kind of like Gemini better. And Gemini's infographics are better than ever. You guys probably can't hear that, but my fire station, some trucks just pulled out. I'm not there, but over there. across the street.
We hear it, Derek. You don't have to go, right?
No, I am moving. It's actually not my station. I am moving to that station because my house is a block from it and my office is right here. So when I signed up, I was just like, sign up for Carlisle Fire. And I thought that's where the other place was where I had to go. Then learned there's one right there. So, which I've known about for a while, but I am now switching to that one. And it's kind of cooler. It's the one I'm in is like a brand new warehouse kind of style one. This one is a old style brick. It's got some additions to it, but they're done in brick old style kind of thing. It's got the big giant bell at the top from 1789. I don't know if that building was built then, but that's when it was started as part of the Union Fire Company, which the other one isn't somehow. Still part of Carlisle, but Ben Franklin, fire lesson for everybody that didn't come here for that. We'll bookend it because we're almost at the end too. Ben Franklin started the Volunteer Fire Company in 1736 in Philadelphia with Union number 1, I guess, although ours is Union number 1, I think. But the Union, if you ever see Union Fire Company, that's technically one that was probably started by the string of Ben Franklin. He started those. Ours was, that was 1736 and ours was 1789. So anyhow, I think I'll hear them pulling in about 5 minutes, having done nothing to a false alarm or something, hopefully, or I'll be getting more texts on my phone saying, come, calling more trucks. If they call the air truck, that's when you know, because people need to use air. And then there's a special truck that shows up that can fill lots of canisters fast. The other trucks have like a bunch of canisters on them, but can't fill them and will run out over time. Active. My record on a canister, they're supposed to be like 30-minute-ish canisters. And my record, I think, was 24 minutes or something like that. Most people don't get that far. Got to kind of control your breathing, yada, yada. Anyhow, all right, new gems, and then got just enough time to go over my 2025 recap, which will not take long, and what people should be doing for 2026. More of the same, probably, but in 2025, I saw a big difference in Google Business Profile performance and the signals that Google is looking at when ranking them. Prior, and even up till maybe the beginning of 2025-ish, it really felt like a difference in 2025, even like the beginning of the year. But up until that, if you just optimized the crud out of your Google Business Profile, utilized everything, was adding photos regularly, post an update every once in a while, keep getting reviews. Reviews didn't have to be crazy, but you had to be getting like close to the other people, maybe a little bit more, but just doing things directly on the Google Business Profile would rank you well and would get you calls. But that seems to have changed to a more holistic approach. And Google has always looked at, what does your website look like? Are you on Zillow? Do you have a good standing there? Are you here and there? And do you have good standings there? And that can help your Google Business Profile. That was always true, but I've seen it a lot more this year. And the people that are winning are the people not like me who, that's all I do. I don't do any other stuff for real estate marketing anymore. Marketing is the thing I do more than real estate, or at least as far as marketing goes. So it would make sense that this year mine dropped off a cliff because I'm not doing community events or mailers or door knocking or talking to people hard about real estate or whatever, and then causing them to type me into Google or look me up or go to my website, all of which are signals to Google that, hey, Derek, people want to work with Derek because people are looking for him regardless of Google Business Profiles or Realtor Near Me. They're directly looking for him. They're going to his website. They're dwelling on it. They're clicking on pages. They can see all that stuff. So then when somebody says Realtor in Carlisle, hey, Derek is somebody that we should preference when people ask for something. So I've seen those signals, the other signals, the holistic approach, and Google looking at all the things and basing your ranking on all the things a lot more this year. So more of the same again, but literally more of the same. It was already like you need to be the other places because Google cared a little bit, and now it seems as though they care a lot. And with AI, like we've talked about all year, obviously that's a big part of the year. AI is, again, looking holistically, looking at all the stuff, not just your Google business profile. And some of the AIs might not even be able to see your Google business profile completely correctly. We've talked about hacks to make sure that is not an issue, but it is an issue if you haven't taken care of it. So doesn't mean we don't want to make our GBP, our Google business profile, the bomb and get reviews there. That's still the number one place for sure over all others where people are directly getting reviews, getting leads and business from their reviews. Google is the number one place. And frankly, in Clubhouse rooms, Google being called out as where a lead come from. I'm in a lot of rooms. I would stretch to say I'm in the most rooms of anybody. And I pay attention to what people say. And I would say, and it's not even like people I work with, it's just people say Google, call from Google, got something from Google way more than they say YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, never, LinkedIn, never. Not saying those others don't happen, but I keep my ears open and I think everybody else hears it too. And that's, again, not trying to float my own boat, just is what it is, I think. And you have to get reviews. So Google Business Profile still super important, still the place where people are going. And again, the AIs are still looking at that. So you still need it to look the bomb. And if somebody uses actual Google to look you up, it smacks them in their face. And it takes over the search results if you have a Google Business Profile. And if it looks the bomb, you're going to help convert them. So still super important, still, like we've talked about ChatGPT gaining, but Google's still 89% of search or whatever. So even though I say these things, still important stuff, but do need to be thinking about those other things. And even for the Google Business Profile ranking itself, all the other things matter. Agencies being preferenced over agents is the second thing I have here. Haven't heard anybody else, any other gurus, so to speak, say anything about it. But I've noticed for sure when I'm searching for agents, I see agencies at the top over agents consistently this year more than other times. And even beating, like the agency 30 reviews, beating agents, you'll see three or four agencies, which agencies never pay much attention, get too many reviews, yada, yada. And then you'll see all the agents that used to be ranking at the top, like under 3 or 4 agencies. So it's not everywhere all the time, but I have for sure seen a shift. And it makes sense. Why would Google not preference an actual legit, like the actual Coldwell Banker, the business? Why wouldn't they preference that over any Joe Schmo that can go get a Google Business Profile, a real estate license, and solicit a bunch of reviews or something? So it makes sense that they would do that. Why would they wouldn't do that from the jump? Doesn't make much sense to me. It seems like a better system anyway. I wouldn't like it because I'm an agent and want us to have our own Google Business Profiles and to beat them. But as far as a consumer and a Google's concerned, it kind of makes sense. So that's something that is unsubstantiated, or at least I haven't heard anybody else say anything about it. But I have for sure seen a difference in agencies kind of outranking agents more than they used to. Reviews matter even more. Reviews always matter. Reviews. But I guess this part is what is said in the review. So in the past, people don't really read reviews. They say they read reviews in a poll, but then when you screen share, watch what they do, their habits or whatever, they don't actually read reviews. So people do not read reviews, but AI for sure does. So if somebody is looking for a specialist or they're vetting you specifically and they ask AI about you, or find me somebody that specializes in seniors and probate and downsizing, then your reviews better be talking about it, because the AIs are going to read all your reviews everywhere and your website stuff and all the other things. And then it's going to come back and report to the person. And if it doesn't say what it should say, then you might not even be included in the report back to the person. So reviews matter even more now. More reviews and what is said, what they write does matter. But again, don't overcomplicate it. A review is gold, no matter what it says. Try to get them to write something, not nothing. But don't overcomplicate it. But if there are times when they can say something specific, or if you're really good at just getting people to do that, then totally good time spent, and talk about whatever you want to be known for. So those are my main things for 2025 recap and going into 2026. Google Business Profile. Signals off of the Google Business Profile affect the Google Business Profile ranking more, it seems. Agencies being preferenced over agents, ? Reviews matter even more. Specifically, what is said in the review matters more. And then obviously we've got AI entering the picture, but SEO remains the same for the most part. So what do we need to do for SEO now or to get discovered by the AI? You've heard me say AI just searches like anybody else. So they basically go to Google and search. So the SEO from before, still the same. Whatever you need to do to show up, all the things we talk about to show up and have good SEO for Google and traditional search, traditional SEO still applies to AI. There are a little bit of nuances and tweaks maybe here and there, but for the most part, it's all the same stuff and matters almost even more now than before. So if you're doing it before, should still work. Again, some tweaks or nuances possibly, like the way I structure blog articles is a little slightly different than maybe I would have done it before with AI in mind, but still matters to be saying the words and to be having a page for it and to backlink and to have this and that. Schema is debatable. I still do it because it's easy to do, and why not do it? But some people would say it doesn't matter. But all the traditional AI stuff still remains the same. And if you don't know how AI works, you ask it something, it does a query fan out. A query fan out is it asking whatever you asked 10 different ways or however many different ways to a search engine, many times Google, and then it gets all those different search results, looks at all of them, looks at all the websites, and then formulates an answer based on all that stuff. So the AIs are simply just going out and searching. And you can even hack that if you wanted to. Some of them will show you the query fan outs. Some of them you have to like back end hack it to see what the query fan outs are. But you can just find the query fan out and look, it searched this phrase, this phrase, this phrase, this phrase. When I asked it, who's the best realtor in, it then went and searched who's the best realtor in, but also it searched who's the top realtor with the most sales, who's the whatever, a bunch of different phrases of that. And then it brings it back. So those phrases would be what you would want to see if you were reverse engineering that. Again, most people in here aren't going to go that far, but basic SEO stuff still works, still the same. So continue on, especially with the reviews. Reviews from now till the end of time. Review machines we all have to be. All right, I'll let you all get back to your Wednesday. Go sell something and have a good one.
Thank you, Derek. Awesome.
Clicks and reviews, we're number one. Reputation's key, we'll show you how. AI's the future, the time is now.